Welcome back to the Bar Talk Happy Hour. I'm Odie Coyote, back again with another special interview. We've been playing her music. You guys have probably heard her songs Liar, Liar, and Hey Mary. We have the one and only Cela Harper joining us via video chat here. We're super excited to have her. Miss Cela Harper, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. I've been wanting to interview you actually for quite a while now, ever since when I first found out about Liar Liar and all that. Your voice is amazing. You're incredibly talented. We've been playing you here on the Bar Talk Happy Hour, featuring you a couple times now, and you have just absolutely exploded. We've been really happy. What is the first question for you guys? So, kind of looking at the success going back from Liar Liar now to Hey Mary, what's kind of been the response and the success, I guess, been like for you so far, watching this song just kind of grow?
Yeah, I think definitely with Liar Liar, that was my first kind of, other than another song I have streaming, radio wise, Liar Liar was the first song that I had out. And it was my introduction to everybody on the radio and to the nation, and I guess you could say the world, of who I am. And I put that song out specifically because it was fun and catchy, but it also was such a true story, and it describes my writing to a T. Um, and so Liar Liar took me places that, I wouldn't have been able to if we didn't put that song out. I was able to get bigger shows. I started a band, everything like that. And then Hey Mary came out in August and people were streaming it right away, which was awesome. Um, we were able to market it and everything like that and get it out into people's ears sooner than we did Liar Liar. So that was pretty great.
And I'm just got to be more impressed too, because it's not very often I get to talk to a Texas country music or red dirt artist who has a little bit of history outside of the state of Texas.
Mhm.
You were born in my home state of Iowa, right?
Yes, I was.
Whereabouts at in Iowa? Do you know, or do you
Yes.
remember? I
Yeah, I was born in Davenport, so on the east side, right?
hmm
That's east. Yeah, on the east side, and then we moved to Council Bluffs. My dad is from Council Bluffs, and he was born across the river in Omaha, as was my brother, and we lived up in the Midwest for a while.
Midwest is not bad. It's like Southern Junior, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, it's funny because like, I see a lot of similarities. I think the only real big difference is just the way the South dresses, and our winters aren't as bad.
That is also true. Winters in Iowa are brutal. I curse the winter here every year when I'm shoveling 6 inches at a time out of my driveway.
We don't have to do that anymore.
No, no, but see, Texas has its own share of challenges. Not saying Iowa doesn't get brutally hot. Believe me, we do. But I think Texas just takes it up to another notch or not too. And
Yes, for
uh,
sure.
but no, it's great. I'm super excited. If you ever do get to come up to Iowa, please let us know. I would love to see you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to be up there.
All right, so I got to talk about now. You went to Texas Tech, correct?
Yes.
And you've now graduated, correct?
Yes.
Are you going? I thought I heard one of your interviews prior that you're thinking about going to graduate school.
Yeah, so that was a option and I thought about doing it, but I started working in May and then I started picking up more gigs and I realized I didn't want to be learning online, especially. I'm just not the type of person who can sit on a computer all day. Um, I actually took a job and earned a certification to be a Pilates instructor just so that I wouldn't have to work on a computer all day. And what makes me happy about music, one of the reasons is that it's doing something totally different than sitting in an office. You know, songwriting, co-writing, you can be technically in an office, but my office is on stage or on the bedroom floor or literally wherever. If you have a song idea in your notes app, um, I'm a mover and a shaker. So grad school was an option. And I would have gone to grad school to learn more about the marketing side of everything. But I'm really a lot more passionate about actually performing and being on stage. So I got accepted and I deferred my enrollment. So if I decide come 2 months, I guess, but I don't know if my decision will change in 2 months.
Yeah, that I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and I think if I could go back, wind my clock back, let's say, I don't know, 15 years, I'm trying to date myself here, but, if I could rewind my clock, 15 years back and kind of do some things over again and maybe take some more time to kinda make that decision, I think I would. So I
Yeah.
totally hear you on this idea of that, but I think, I did see that, you studied business, you studied marketing, you've done a lot of digital creating work, which are really important skills to have in the
Mhm.
music industry. One thing else I heard is that your folks kind of have a professional background, right?
Yeah, well, both my parents are fully educated college graduates. My mom went to get her doctorate. Actually, she earned it from UNL, so I know that's not in Iowa, but it's up there in the Midwest. And my dad graduated from the University of Iowa, so still very connected up there. Yeah. Um, but they're not at all musically talented, but they have always encouraged a good education, and they've always been just passionate about pushing me to what I want to do, not pushing in a bad way, but, I've always been encouraged by them to be my best self, and they've been great at supporting me doing music. At times it's not the easiest thing to do, um, but for instance, right now, I'm living back at home in Dallas, and they've supported me all through that. But my mom, for instance, she's my manager, and we have a really good relationship at balancing the manager side and then the mom side. Obviously, she's the mom first. We've talked about that, but as well as my manager, I mean, she's really helping me balance that business side. We have merch now, and with merch comes, taxes and whatever LLC. I'm an LLC now too. So, all that being said, they are, you know, very helpful on that because that stresses me out. And then my dad is also in finance. So, that also helps.
I think it does, and that's a skill that when you go and you decide that you're going to make music, I can speak a little bit to this. I don't have that the level of experience of actually performing and doing
Mhm.
things like that professionally, but from a broadcasting, like going into it, it's kind of the same thing. It's a lot of branding. It's a lot of getting yourself
Mhm.
out there, getting your work out there. What has surprised you the most from a business aspect about making and writing and getting your music out there? That you really weren't expecting that you would need to know or need to be good at in order to kind of help market yourself.
Yeah. Kind of thinking about it, a lot of people say you need to post all the time every day. But I studied public relations in school, and I took a class where we learned all about like social media and whatever. And that for certain artists, it is good to post every day if you have that much content. Um, I really truly believe in posting valuable content over quantity of content. Um, so quantity over quality, quality over quantity. There we go. Um, and I don't post just exclusively music. Say my Instagram and my Facebook, my fans get an insight into my life and what I do every day. I post a little bit about Pilates here, music, and then we're going hiking. I'll post a picture from my hike. I think that really helps fans feel involved in my life and see me from a different point of view. Um, which I like. I like seeing that from artists that I follow. Um, so I guess I didn't really realize how much I guess it could be an influencer role, except influencers get things. We are having to give, 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 give. Music industry is really hard. Um, and I guess I didn't realize, well, I knew everything was expensive, but I'm not making any money, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Making money in music and that's something people it's a really hard thing I think for the average listener to understand
Mhm.
is when you're making music, when you're making content and you're trying to be successful at it, there's this balance between, yeah, I really want to be super creative. I really want to just all I want to do every day is write music, sing, perform, get gigs, and all of that. But what's really hard behind it is there's definitely a financial aspect. I mean, I actually got a friend of mine, another artist who I've talked to and became close with. They were telling me that just to get your promoter to help
Mhm.
get you in front of radio stations, to get you out there, get your music more widely distributed, it can cost like $10,000 plus.
Yeah.
That's not a small bill.
No, no.
What I mean, it has have you been able to navigate those challenges? And with that, um, along with those challenges, what benefits, what success have you seen by making those early on investments?
So I've definitely paid for everything myself, which is why I haven't put out single after single like a lot of other artists are able to do. When I go into the studio, it does cost thousands of dollars, and I try to record again quality over quantity. There we go. But again, I pay for it all myself, and I save up my money, and I do a lot of gigs so that I can go back into the studio, pay the promoter. Um, but it is all worth it because you can tell when something is produced well. Um, you can tell by the way the producer catches like the energy of the song and the emotions behind it. And I really value that. So, I mean, I could record it at home and I have that equipment to record it at home. But then again, you're going to pay a monthly fee for some of the, production stuff. And I'm just not that talented. That's not my cup of tea. But I will say, spending that extra money, say I got a promoter or on little ads to push upcoming shows, I've really seen an increase in my listens. Maybe not streams per se, because streaming's a whole different conversation. And I truly believe that you shouldn't pay for streams. Like I don't even know how to do that. But I've seen my listeners go up, my followers go up, like naturally. Not obviously not a huge increase, but that's not what I want. I want to gradually build a fan base that's here to stay rather than, people that are one and done, forget about you. They're just there for the follow, which I still, I appreciate those people as well. But, I'm building slowly up to become what I want to be someday. And I'm working really hard and it is very expensive. But yeah, my next project, it will be an EP, and we're starting the process for crowdsourcing. So that'll be really helpful, um, just so that people can realize, everything in life is expensive. Nothing comes free, um, but it takes a lot for a musician like me, especially in like Texas country music, to get their authentic self into a song and make it not sound like everybody else and to not feel like you're just putting something out. And that's kind of how I am. I don't want to just put something out to put something out. I want every, emotion, intention to be behind my music and really whatever I say and do. I never just want to do something to do something.
That is probably some of the wisest advice I think I've ever heard an artist say on this show ever, and probably ever in my career. I've been doing radio for like I don't know, almost 20 years now at this point. Um, just one thing that really impressed me when you said that is trying to be your best authentic self in an industry, and country music in general is just flooded with people trying to just chase the next big thing, right? And
Mhm.
let me ask you this. Now, back when you were 16, I heard you went and auditioned for American Idol.
Yes.
Y- I'm not going to ask specifically about the experience of being on American Idol, but I want to ask you what it taught you early on in your music career. I mean, you're just a teenager back then,
Mhm.
and then obviously now you're out of college and you're doing your career. If you could go back and tell your 16-year-old self, who's just about shaking their knees in front of Luke Bryan or Katy Perry,
Yeah.
if you could go back, what would you tell yourself, if anything, to do differently?
Um, I don't know if I would ever say to do anything differently. I would probably say, stick to your authentic self. But when you're 16, it might be different now. I mean, I was 16 in a whole different time. I mean, TikTok wasn't a thing yet. I don't think it was a thing yet. Um, it was 2019. I was 16. So you can't really go and tell a 16-year-old who they are at 16 because I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. Um, so I don't know if I'd do anything differently, but I would say to not let whatever somebody's telling you define who you are. And I didn't. and I'm glad that I have like parents and a family that drills that into me. Obviously, it took a couple months for me to get back on to where I was wanting to perform again. Um, but I was just like a baby and I needed that experience and experiences that followed to show me that I did have a place in this industry. I know a lot of artists would get discouraged, and I was discouraged, but I didn't go in there to win. I'm not a very competitive person when it comes to music. Um, for example, like songwriting competitions. I've never won a songwriting competition, and I don't ever go in expecting to win or even expecting to get in. I songwrite for myself, and if other people like it, they like it. Music is very subjective. And that's another thing that, I would tell my 16-year-old self, who I don't even know if I knew the word subjective back then, but music is very subjective. And just because one person doesn't like you doesn't mean another person isn't, and I would just say take it all in now because you never know if you're going to get that experience again. I went to Oregon for my celebrity show, whatever they call it, and I've never been back to Oregon, so that was an amazing experience. We spent time there, my family and I. Um, we just didn't one and done it with the show. I didn't mope around up there. Obviously, it was sad that I didn't make it, but you know what mattered more is that somebody thought I was good enough to be there and that I had a place in that room. And that's what I remember everybody being there saying. Because, obviously, no, not everybody makes it. But I've made connections from American Idol, and we're all still playing music, most of us. And, that one moment didn't define us. So,
Yeah. That's really great. That moment didn't define you. I'm
mhm.
glad that you didn't when you didn't make it on the show and all of that. I'm glad that that experience didn't just chase you away from music because I'll share with you after the interview, but I've got a little bit of kind of that, and just hearing you talk, I think there's some important lessons to be learned there. Now, just transitioning here, I want to talk about "Hey Mary" as we start to wrap up the interview. Kind of give us an overview because your songs have so many intricate meanings. Liar, liar. I'm thinking it's about a guy or a girl or something like that, some relationship, and you're like, nope. And
Yeah,
when I learned, I'm like, oh boy, I
yeah.
really need to understand music. So help me understand "Hey Mary" for someone who's never heard the song before.
Yeah, so off the top, it probably looks like a relationship song. But if you, or I just miss my friend college sorority girl song. And, it can be if that's what somebody needs it to be at, when they first listen. And that's what I think lyrics should be is how you interpret them is what you need them to be at the time. But I wrote it when I got to Lubbock and I didn't know anybody. um, I got to Lubbock and I was dating a guy and we broke up 2 weeks into the school year, so that was fun. I didn't know anybody, so I, did what I would do. I would just drive around and listen to true crime podcast. And I was in this new place. I'd never really been to West Texas, and I would just drive around. And West Texas is beautiful. There's a bunch of canyons, very flat, and you can see the stars. Um, and so when I was writing one night, I had been in a writing block for about 2 years. And then once I was alone in Lubbock in my own apartment, I was able to write. And this was pretty sure like the third song. I'd written it the second semester that I was at Texas Tech. And a friend's name inspired it. But if you look at the lyrics of the song, it is a murder mystery song. And you don't know that she's dead until the very last chorus, which I didn't write it like that. I didn't write it to be deep. It's like I say my subconscious mind just writes for me sometimes. But I wrote it as like a true crime podcast, and it's deeper, but than that. But what it was. That's what it was about. Um, yeah.
And that's man, and that's what's so great about country music. It's all storytelling.
Hmm.
And the story kind of can have different meaning. Now, I'm gonna ask only because I think as a listener, I kind of want to envision the song,
Okay.
and I want to kind of like picture what's going on. Have you thought about doing a music video for it at all?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about it this weekend. My mom and I went on a hike in the Caprock Canyons which I don't know if any of your listeners know West Texas at all, but it's beautiful. It's a bunch of red dirt and rocks, and it was a really intense hike. And I turned to my mom when we got to a point. We're not like hikers. We went on a really hard trail. It said on the map that it was rugged and a little intense, but I was like, nah, we can do it. I do Pilates, I walk all the time, whatever. It was really intense, but we got to this really pretty part after a really like long hike up. It was kind of like a break, if you would say. And it was really, really pretty. But I turned to my mom and I was like, I think this is probably where they would find Mary's body. It's in such a pretty part. And then there's just a dead girl there. And then I just thought of how beautiful of a place that something so tragic can happen. And I think that's kind of what the song, in the end is saying. It's such a beautiful piece. It says so happy or whatever. And then, oh, she's dead. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm about to post a TikTok or a reel on Instagram in a little bit that is our hike. But yeah, I mean, beautiful. These West Texas, these trees, these canyons, these rocks. I think it's beautiful. But yeah, out in the canyons for sure is where Mary is at.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be excited to see any video that kind of tells the story, to hear you sing it in that way. I think it's great. All right, Cela, our time is short. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, all my social medias. I don't have Twitter, but I have Instagram and Facebook, as well as TikTok. It's Cela Harper. It's CelaHarper. Just Cela Harper on all the social media platforms. Cela Harper Music on TikTok. I have a website that's just celaharper.com where I have all my shows, which I have a bunch of upcoming shows down here all over Texas. And we have merch there as well.
Perfect. Cela, stay on the line for me. I'll talk with you in just a second. But guys, go check out Cela Harper right now here on the Bar Talk Happy Hour. Here is her brand new song called Hey Mary. Really hope you guys enjoy it. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you think about the song, bartalkhappyhour.com. We'll be back with your concerts and goodbye right after this.